Next time a vintage aircraft flies overhead, there is a good chance it's being propelled by the handiwork of a man from Manukau, an hour north of Wellington. For over 25 years, Jeff Fox has created wooden propellers for classic aircraft like Tiger Moths and Sopwith Camels, if you know what they are. He can put up to 300 hours of work into each handcrafted propeller for clients, including First World War aviation buff Sir Peter Jackson. Jimmy Ellingham popped into Jeff Fox's workshop and filed this report.
When you sand, it's all the one colour, but with scraping it, you can see the timber goes darker, and you can actually take it down.
A master craftsman at work, Jeff Fox shapes a Tiger Moth propeller in his Horowhenua garage, where he helps keep remnants of early aviation alive.
One of the first props I did was for the Will Scotland aircraft, the Cauldron, that was first flown in Otaki, and that was flown in early 1914 down at Tihoro. That aircraft went on to do the first cross-country flights in Australasia, in Invercargill to Gore.
Jeff's one of only a few people in the world who makes wooden propellers by hand, and while not a pilot himself, he enjoys delving into the stories of the planes he keeps in the air.
That aircraft eventually got pranged in doing a demonstration flight out of Athletic Park, and he couldn't get back in because of wind, and he got blown into the hills above Basin Reserve, actually into the trees. First guy to climb out of a tree that hadn't climbed up it.
Dry humid, with a cigarette hanging out his mouth, Jeff is at home in a workshop, which happens to stand only metres from his house. Its walls are lined with propellers and pictures of planes, including some that look odd to the modern eye, like the German tri-winged aircraft of the early 20th century. A builder and joiner by trade, Jeff started restoring classic cars, a pastime that led to requests for him to work on classic planes. That's turned into his business, Fox Props.
It's not just a propeller, it's also a history lesson in what the early pilots and that had to put up with, and the conditions they lived in and their life expectancies and that sort of thing. It's quite an eye-opener. As one of my mates said, he said, this is in the days when the planes were built of wood and the men were built of steel. Today it's the other way round, and you better believe it.
That's one of Jeff's propellers getting tested on a Sopwith pup. Half his workshop's devoted to his hobby of doing up old motorbikes, and the other half to the propeller business. He says that's the half that makes the money, the other side loses it. He does work for aviation enthusiasts in New Zealand and abroad.
I was very fortunate to be involved early on with a lot of Peter Jackson's aircraft projects through a mate of mine, Stuart Tantrum in Levin, and he restored the Camel for Peter, and that needed a propeller.
The amount of work varies. Sometimes he might do a couple of propellers a year, sometimes a lot more. Some, like the ones with 4 blades, take up to 300 hours, some much less. And they cost anything from just over $8,000 to over $20,000.
These things are like a vacuum cleaner on takeoff. They'll suck up anything. They do get damaged. If it gets to a certain point where if you're in doubt that it's not up to it or good enough, strength-wise or pitch or angle-wise, you just say, nah, new prop. Because at the end of the day, if in doubt you don't do, someone's life depends on these.
Jeff uses quality imported wood, something he's particular about.
Those Tiger Moth 107 layers are Sapelli mahogany. A lot of the originals were Honduras mahogany, which we can't get here. I think the last Honduras we had into this country was in the 1920s. But Sapelli's a very close second.
The 66-year-old reckons he's made about 260 propellers, and with no plans to retire, Fox Props is well clear of its final approach.